Geek Out! Bienvenidos a Geek Out. Me llamo Samuel.
Me llamo Cristoban.
I'm Jake.
And this week we have an entrevista, that's interview for all you gringos out there, with Frank Barbiere about his book, Violent Love, which is out in comic book stores at the first volume, collecting the first 5 issues, art by Victor Santos. That's out today. So definitely check it out. You know, it's a fun, pulpy book. We posted our advanced review of it earlier this week, so give it a listen. But yeah, let's let Frank talk about it. Also, Martians. And coming back on the show, we got, it was really cool having, Frank Barbiere on the show several months ago when the first issue of Violent Love dropped.
Yes.
Him and, Victor Santos with their pulp kind of Bonnie and Clyde revenge romance set in 1970s, America. And he's back.
Yes.
So he's back to talk about the collection of the first story arc, which is out in comic book stores everywhere and on Comixology on Wednesday, May 24th. Frank, thanks for coming back on.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. It is, again, some nice symmetry that it is now that the first volume is done and I was here. Was it like a few months before or like when we announced it? I cannot remember the first time we spoke.
Yeah.
It sounds about right.
It wasn't out yet.
Yeah, we put it out like a couple weeks, if not like the week of FOC, then like a couple weeks right around then.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then, I mean, since then I feel like it's been a whole whirlwind. Not only have you wrapped the first arc of Violent Love, you're writing a Martian Manhunter, Marvin the Martian. Is it a team up or is it a throwdown?
It is a bit more of a throwdown. I feel like I was actually just looking at the proof of that. It came out great, and I wrote it with my good dear friend Steve Orlando, and it was really fun. I mean, I feel like we really lucked out in that pairing, like the fact that, one, they're both Martians, but I think if you know anything about Marvin the Martian, we kind of know what his long-term goal is in a lot of those old cartoons, and we kind of stuck with that. And obviously, there's a reason why John Jones would be a little perturbed at Marvin coming to Earth.
You don't have to, if you don't want to spoil this or go into details, by all means, I got to know. Do instant Martians make an appearance?
No, but we played with the idea of like the fact he has the capsules and stuff.
Cool.
Like we tried to stick to as much kind of like we really deep dived into Marvin's stuff, and like a lot of his key little elements and catchphrases are all there. And Aaron Lopresti did an awesome job of kind of like, you can see on that cover, but I wish I could show more from the pages. But the idea of him being in the DCU, but still looking a bit like a cartoon. And like, I feel like Aaron found a really perfect way to make him look like DC-ish, but still very much carry the essence of being a cartoon. And just, he has no face, as we all know, but Aaron did such a great job like emoting with the character that we were just like so amazed by his ability to kind of just show acting with just Marvin's eyes. And I mean, Aaron is a storied professional and a great collaborator, so we knew he'd nail it, but it really came out delightful. And we found something really cool to say with it. Like, it isn't just like them fighting, like, and everything I strive for. I think we found something that really resonates with why both of them would meet and like what we could use to say. And again, it's just a lot of fun. I forget, quite frankly, how popular Looney Tunes are, as dumb as that may seem, but like, whenever I tell anyone about this, they're like, holy shit. And I'm just like, oh, God. I do a lot of other comics, too, but I guess this is the one. So what I'm saying is if DC wants me to do a Space Jam comic, I'm totally down.
I would be totally down to read that. I literally, just last night, you might not know this, but some of our listeners know that I have a side podcast about Laserdiscs.
Yeah, on the Geek Out Network.
On the Geek Out Network, called Laserdiscs, very cleverly. But
well done.
But literally last night on eBay, I bought my own copy of Space Jam on Laserdisc.
Oh my God, I forgot that it was of that era.
Yeah.
You'll enjoy the laser crispness.
Yeah. Which is funny because like 2 months ago I bought it. I think I bought it on Blu-ray just because I was like, what? They put this on Blu-ray? Of course I'm going to get it. And then I found some guy selling it for like $7 on Laserdisc. So I was like, well, I gotta put it in the collection too.
Yeah.
Do you have it on every form of media now? Does that mean you've got it on like VHS?
Every knowable form of media.
I know I had it on VHS. I don't know if I still do, or if I do, where it is. But I definitely did have it on VHS, and
Nice.
it came out too late to be on beta. So
DVD?
Probably not DVD.
Well. But yeah, so the
DVDs are a fool's game.
that'll never last. I guess none of them do. But so the other big piece of not violent love news, and I promise we'll get to violent love. But the other big piece of violent love news is Five Ghosts is coming back for a fourth arc.
Oh yes, and hopefully well beyond a fourth arc. I literally was just like coordinating outline stuff with Chris. Like we are getting to it ASAP. Like hopefully he's going to start drawing it next week, quite honestly. And we've really been thinking about this for a while, and it's a book that we really care about. And I've spoken a bit about this, but with that project, I mean, it was like our first professional comics, and we had been working on it for probably about a year prior to even publication. And then maybe up to 2 years, geez. But we were working on it for like almost 4 years straight, and we were just all so burned out by the time Volume 3 came out. We just literally took a minute. We're like, we need to step away. Like, this is just like, doing monthly comics is so hard, especially when at Image, where it's just the team. I mean, it's like making garage comics. It's me, Chris, and Lauren. And just between all of us starting to do other work and really focusing on Five Ghosts full time was no longer really an option, and we really just needed a minute to step away. And now we're so excited to be coming back because it's been kind of percolating in the back of our heads, and we always knew how we kind of wanted to end this first, what I say, like book, kind of like the first 4 arcs really encompass like one big chapter of the story. So we'll get a little bit of like a climactic conclusion to some of the stuff we set up, but also set up a new status quo to move forward. And as I said, hopefully keep doing the book as long as we can. I mean, we have enough material. We hope our audience kind of joins us, as we are going to just start with 18, like issue 18. We're not going to renumber anything. It is very much part of the series that came before it. And I don't know, we're excited about that. We'll be able to hit like a milestone number of like issue 25 soonish. And we're just really, I mean, not just keep saying it, but we're excited. We feel like we're all better at our jobs than we were, and we love what we've done. But now we can kind of take everything we've got from basically working for 4 years in the industry and make the best possible Five Ghosts we can, as stupid as that phrase might sound. But no, it's obviously, if you're familiar with the material at all, and I mean the listeners, I know you guys are, but it's everything we love kind of distilled into one book. So as I said, we will never run out of content. We just want to make sure we're doing it in the best way we possibly can, and really not cutting any corners, because it is our book and we don't have any editorial interference. We can do whatever we want, and we are going to take a minute to, and hopefully by, we said 2017 when we announced it, but really like we are taking our time and like banking 3 issues before we start publication again, so we don't get late. And I really hope by November, December we have issue 18 out. But again, if not, don't kill us. We're working on it. We're just really making sure it's something we're completely proud of, something that's going to be beautiful and smart, and really do wonders, hopefully, for the series, to bring even more people on and keep it going. But that's my Five Ghost diatribe.
Well, for Five Ghosts, can we expect new editions of the previous volumes? Is issue 18 kind of a fresh jumping on point for new readers?
We will, like, there is a little bit of a prologue built into it to contextualize the series, like if you are just kind of jumping in, because we do want people to just be picking it up. And again, as well as the book did, we know there's still so many people who've never heard of the book, and we'll be doing a pretty big press push too to kind of re-announce it. But honestly, like, I would highly recommend just reading the 3 trades before it if you're going to be coming in. I mean, you can start reading it and probably get a general sense of, oh, okay, this is who the characters are and what's going on, but it really is in continuity to everything we've done before, and kind of playing right off the cliffhanger at the end of Volume 3. The trades are all still in print and all still, thankfully, are moving. So we know people are always discovering the book, which is a thrill for us because, again, we love it and we're glad that we have 3 volumes out. But it will be pretty aggressively in print and available. I mean, I don't know if we'd really venture doing like one of the dollar number one issues like when it comes back. I mean, that's for us to discuss with Image, but I'm just so much more of the mind that our first volume is $9.99. You can get it even cheaper in most places. So I would just recommend anyone who's interested to just start jumping in, because it is, again, one cohesive book, and we hope that people, even if they discover it now, will be excited to read the material we've put out, as it is all canon, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah, it's not a reboot.
Yeah, certainly not. And that's why we're adamant about keeping our numbering. It's not like we're going back and like telling some whole new story. This is very much the fourth chapter in that first book of Five Ghosts. And as I said, I'm even more excited to see where it goes after this. This is a very big climactic kind of finale to the stuff we've been setting up, like with the kind of cabal of like evil literary characters and kind of like Fabian's struggle to like get his sister back. And I mean, I won't say if that happens or that doesn't happen at the end of this, but really it's hopefully going to be satisfying to long-term readers and see a natural progression of the series, because it's so hard, especially as creators, to come up with something that has the legs to go on and on and on. But with Five Ghosts, I feel like we just became extremely lucky that we kind of have like a world, and we really kind of worked our mythology out and have just kind of brainstormed and thought of cool things we can do with all the characters we have and the stuff we've created. And I feel like now 18 if you count the bonus issue we did, but like we have such a solid foundation. It feels like writing something that's established now, because the hardest part when you're doing something new is making anybody care and kind of making the material feel like real material and not flying by the seat of your pants. But I feel like at this point we are pretty grounded in knowing what the book is, so we can really deliver upon that or subvert that if need be. And it's just fun. Like it's extremely refreshing that it's just me, Chris, and Lauren, and that's artist co-creator Chris Mooneyham and colorist Lauren Affey, and we are the only ones who touch this book, and then our designer Dylan Todd as well. But we can do whatever we want, and that I think that's why a lot of people like creator-owned books. And again, I love big two stuff, I like licensed stuff, but here it's really just kind of like our own little kind of world we built, and we can do with it what we please. And honestly, I think I hope some of the stuff we're doing at the end of this arc will be surprising and exciting to our readers who know what the book is, because we really want to basically, as I said, just do the best version of this book we can and not pull any punches and have it be the best looking, best reading version of Five Ghosts. So that is our goal. We'll see if we hit it, but we are definitely excited to be jumping back in. And I will definitely be very active in sharing a lot of the new stuff leading up to the re-release, because I know people have been waiting for it, and we put up one teaser, and we were so happy to see the huge response we got to that, and just the reassurance that people do like this book. And I mean, it means a lot to us, specifically as still newer creators, all things considered. Like, you can never control if something's going to connect, and we know that there's at least a decent sized audience for this, and we're so grateful for that. And it just gives us the opportunity to do more and not feel like we're searching for solid ground. And that was a real long answer, but in summation, we're excited. It continues from issue 17, and hopefully it'll be a good point for new people. I mean, we will like use like the banners on the top of issues to be like, oh, these are like kind of the story arcs, but really we want to keep it going far into the future as well. It's not just like we're going to kind of cap it off or anything like that. Like we love this book, and we think we can do it forever. So we hope people will buy into the idea of us doing it forever. I mean, looking at some of the longer running series at Image, it's really inspiring to see that it is like one of the only places where you can do long-term series, because it's all reliant on you. Like, I would never begrudge publishers who are paying money up front to having to make tough calls on books. But with this, like, we put our money where our mouth is. We want to do a long ass series. We're going to keep making it as long as we want, and really just hope it connects.
Yeah, I mean, looking forward to it. And if you ever need to do a press push for it, you got the email, Frank.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we will really be pushing hard, so to speak. It's that old mentality, right? Like, we were so fortunate to come in when we did, because Image was really blowing up, and we benefited immensely. But there's still so many people who probably don't know what the book is, aren't aware, and nothing really helps more than having, again, new book on the shelves to help people discover the old stuff that is part of it. So I definitely will hit you up on that.
Sure. Now, okay, let's talk Violent Love after kind of teasing it for a bit. You know, at the beginning of the interview, I kind of described it as this, like, you know, Bonnie and Clyde thing set in the 70s, but it goes to some. There are some twists and turns, and you could argue by the end of the first issue, but certainly by the second issue, things go off the rails. It's not just a straight up simple revenge story. There are other players at hand, and things get really messy really quick. So, I mean, I'm assuming that as we go, you know, prepare for arc 2, because not everything, without going into details, are resolved by the end of this first arc. We're just going
to thankfully we already have solicited, like, arc 2 does start in July. We're like on the saga schedule basically. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I need to interrupt you, but you're again, so we did 5 was in February. Yes, or no, April.
Yeah.
Then we were off. Trade is May. We're off June, and then July issue 6 comes right out, and we'll be powering through our second trade, which will be, again, it'll be July, August, September, October, November, December off, January, volume 2.
So you know,
so we're not going to leave anyone hanging, basically.
Well, I mean, things are just. I presume things are going to continue to escalate and just go off the rails.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited that I feel like the end of volume 5 is a kind of natural breaking point for the story. It, like, definitely, like, this first. I wish I had a better way to phrase it, but this first story arc, because Violent Love is another book that we really hope to keep going past 10, but the first story, the Daisy and Rock story, really is 10 issues, and because we plotted it this way, I feel like we have a really nice natural midpoint at the end of issue 5, where we get some big reveals. We see a big character moment for Daisy, and literally the next 5 is going to really bring the consequences of that, and also glimpse us a little more into that future narrative, which I hope is now starting to make sense, like, of what the frame story has to do with it. And it was one of my big things coming into this. I really want to do a frame story, but make sure, like, the frame had a real big purpose and had its own plot that pays off in the end as well. So I'm excited to dive into that stuff and really show where that narrative goes, because we definitely have established our kind of 2 timelines. And interestingly enough, and as I said, we're working on this now. Like, Victor's already finished 6, and we're moving kind of at a very brisk speed here. He is such a fantastic collaborator and such a workhorse. I have this all written, and I know how it ends, and I really just hope that we can keep people surprised, keep people excited. And the book always, I knew what I wanted to say with it, and even in this kind of deep genre elements of crime and romance and violence, like, it was big to me to not have just Daisy and Rock show up and immediately be in love. Like, I wanted it to be the story of how they fell in love, not just, oh, look at these two, like, despite our messaging with, like, the first cover and stuff, it's not necessarily this, like, Bonnie and Clyde, like, oh, or like natural born killers. Like, we cannot be more far away from natural born killers. And it's funny because early on people are like, oh, it's like a natural born killers thing. It's like, no, I love that movie, but that's like a real mean, weird story about probably what we looked like we were going to do in our messaging. But really it is Daisy's story, and kind of the story of revenge and a story of kind of passion on both sides, and what that kind of does to a person, and what you can extrapolate from that, and, like, the purpose of revenge, and if it ultimately is a worthy cause. And again, not reinventing the wheel here, but I think the stuff at the end of arc 2 will really prominently get what I want the book to, quote, be about in big picture terms across. And I don't know, hopefully it'll be unexpected and something fresh to really warrant people going back and reading both these volumes and being like, oh, okay, I see how this all was supposed to go from the beginning. Because it is something we really put craft forward in the sense of, like, designing it to be kind of a 10-issue story that has a very clear point. But obviously we're having a lot of fun with it as well. Victor is just tremendous and has given the book such style, such kind of visceral moments of craziness, and that's really been our intent too. I mean, I've talked a bit about the violence in the book being, obviously it almost turns toward like grindhouse crazy, but our point with that isn't to like glamorize, but to make it kind of scary and kind of just very visceral and crazy, because it is supposed to be grounded, but like I feel like we get so used to violence in all forms of media, and the story I always tell, and God help me, I probably told it last night, but like I very vividly remember the first time I saw someone get like punched in the face in real life, and how like horrifying and crazy and intense it was, despite growing up with all kinds of crappy like centralized violence and things like that. And it was actually like horrifying and scary, and that's almost a feel we hope to emulate here and see the different responses to it within our characters. And again, Victor obviously has a lot of Frank Miller influence and things like that in his work, and wants to do it in a stylistic way. But I just, no one's really come at me, and I'm glad, but we're not trying to like fetishize violence or anything like that, but really just show it as almost a horrific element. Even in a grounded story, it can be this hyper real, kind of hyper stylized, crazy, gory, visual, kind of visceral thing, which is really, for me, supposed to work into the idea that it is fucking scary in real life. Like, especially if in scenarios like this, people shooting guns, like gangs and whatnot, it's not romanticized. It's supposed to be visceral and intense. And again, I think Victor captures that so well, and it is definitely inherent in the DNA of our book to kind of go there. And I don't know, I'm proud of it and think it works really well, but
oh, I mean, it's the consequences feel very real throughout. I mean, even something is, and that's clear from jump. I do have to ask, where did the inspiration from the pair of cartel assassins? Because they are, again, it's a very grounded story, and I don't want to say that they're like out there. They are very real, and the violence they inflict is very real.
There definitely are the one kind of fantastical thing going on here that doesn't have a real life analog. And it's funny because I was a little at odds with doing that, but I got to a point where I really wanted to have just kind of some kind of very intense, crazy, almost like mythological threat. And I started talking to Victor, and when we were like kind of brainstorming, and I was like, what if they're kind of like twin girls? What can we do? And he really came up with that really cool like Aztec design, because we want to separate them from anything like in like Deadly Class, or even like the kind of brothers in Breaking Bad who are those assassins. And I feel like he came up with this unique design that fit into kind of an aesthetic that we haven't seen so much, but really they are a little wild, and we we think it works thematically in the book, but definitely wasn't something where I'm like, well, back in 1974 there was a crazy gang, but it's not necessarily research, but I think they serve their purpose and they are cool designs. And again, if that's disappointing to anyone, sorry, but that is some comic bookiness we got in there. And certainly we have not seen the last of the one sister. I mean, spoilers, some stuff goes down, but it really is the kind of thing, though, where I feel like this is something that Victor is so phenomenal with as well. Like, there's like no wasted design. Like, everyone we kind of put in the book is so well realized visually that he kind of really brings his A game on that. But definitely we wanted to have these characters that were dangerous and invisibly dangerous and almost bigger than life. And I do like the grounding of the fact that they do look like these crazy, almost like ghost-like assassins, but again, they can be killed. They're not like supernatural or anything like that. They are essentially two girls with knives, but beyond that, it doesn't get too crazy. I mean, the big thing is we will obviously be revisiting the Nails Gang very much in volume 2, and it's so interesting when you look at something like this in a bigger scope, because I know we introduce some elements and don't immediately pay off on them, and it's very frustrating to see when people read month to month like complain about stuff like that, because part of me just wants to be like, yo, pump the brakes, we'll get there. Like, everything's there for a reason. We thought about this, but I also do understand the frustrations of long payoffs. But this is definitely a piece that has been created to be one cohesive thing. But also, I mean, we do try to pay attention to make sure the issues read well, that there are kind of, that each one is a discernible unit. And it's funny because going through, and I'm looking at the trade right now. I'm so happy with how the trade came out. It printed beautifully. Dylan did some amazingly cool design stuff with it, and it's 160 pages, and we were very adamant at keeping it at $9.99 despite probably fiscal repercussions for ourselves. But we really want to just, as I said, with Image especially, put our money where our mouth is and show like, this is a book we care about, this is a book we're invested in, and we want to bring more readers to it. So really keeping it at that $9.99 price point was huge to us to hopefully get people to pick up the first trade and come back for issue 6.
Well, I think, Victor does this kind of great Darwin Cook, Bruce Timm thing with the artwork. I was flipping through the the advanced review copy of the trade. You've got all the variant, the concept art and the variant art. I particularly enjoy the mock Japanese poster for the for the story.
Yeah, he did such a wonderful job. Because really, Victor is just he is an art machine and such like a great designer in his own right that. And I was like, oh, well, we could do B covers for everything. He's like, oh, I would love to just, again, have at it. And I can't remember if he brought that up or I did when we got to issue 4. I was like, well, we've done kind of the kind of grindhousey posters. What do you think for 4? And I think he had just had a mock-up sketch of that. I was like, oh, yeah, definitely lean into that hard. And he did an awesome job. And he actually drew the katakana logo down the side. And for me, I'm like, oh, should we just leave it with the Japanese? But then Dylan worked in the logo. I'm like, you know what? Let's not. Let's not make it too bonkers. But no, he's again awesome, and I'm so glad we got a little bit of space too to do some of his sketch work because he is just again, I could sit here and gush about Victor's work forever. He is awesome, and it's just flattering for me to collaborate with him and just to get to see him draw and to see this stuff come in. Because every issue he kind of one-ups himself and creates some kind of iconic scene. There's a scene in number 6 of just Daisy and Rock sitting in a diner. It's a double-page spread with one of them on each side at a table, and it is just I'm like, that is the perfect image from our series. So look for that in issue 6. I wish I could show it to everyone now, but it's great. But just knowing, as a writer, especially knowing you're working with someone who's just able to handle whatever you throw at them and make it better is just such a joy. It's part of the reason why I do comics. And again, I just will never be able to get over the awesome collaborators I've been fortunate enough to fall into working with. And Victor is definitely at the top of my list. I mean, yet another person who, if I could continue working with forever, I would gladly do so, as I feel like he's just figured it out. His work just is, I don't know, it's brilliant stuff, and it makes me look better, quite frankly, but he brings so much to this and is more than capable of writing his own books. And the fact he's willing to kind of be part of a team is really awesome to me, and I tremendously value his kind of time and effort.
So you've been kind of... continue.
I was just saying, I was fortunate enough to actually get to meet him because he does live in Spain, and he'd actually never been to the U.S., and he actually...
you guys did a tour.
Yeah, a retailer, unabashedly my favorite retailer, Steve Anderson from Third Eye Comics, actually flew Victor out for a signing at his store. And then because Victor had never been to the U.S., we drove up to New York and did a few events. And it was a really, really cool, fun time. And it was great to meet him in person. He's a delightful, delightful person. And just the fact I don't know, sometimes you just don't get any personal relationship. But I'm so happy that in a lot of my work, I've managed to again, be able to actually hang out with my collaborators and get to know them as people beyond that. And as I said, it was just a real fun trip, as he had never been to the U.S. before. So obviously he's not not blind to our culture or anything like that, but it was very fun to kind of Sherpa him around and be like, oh, look, we're in New York for the first time and things like that.
Here's White Castle. Enjoy their burgers. But
oh my God. Yeah. He probably gained 40 pounds when he was here because of the crap we made him eat. We did a signing in Staten Island. It was actually Orlando was with us too, and the shop owner was buying us lunch and from Italian deli, and I got a giant meatball sub, and Victor was like, "Wait, you can put meatballs on a sandwich?" I'm like, "Oh man, can you?" And he got one too, and they bring it. He's like, "Wait, this is one meal?" I'm like, "Oh, it's one meal." I was just like, "Yeah, Victor, I'd eat this for breakfast, man." But yeah, so he got a taste of American cuisine at its finest.
Of course. Did he have some
He
New
was
York pizza while he was there?
I can't remember if we actually got pizza now that you mention it. I mean, what did we eat? Just every meal, he was just like, oh my God, there's so much food. I'm like, yep, that's how we do it.
Not to sound like a creeper, but I feel like I've seen Steve Orlando tweet a picture from that signing and with a sub in somebody's hand.
Yeah, there's definitely a picture, and I look real miserable in the background because I just ate enough food for 10 people. And it was a big day. No, that was, again, it was at Comic Book Jones, which is another awesome store out in Staten Island, and we had a great time there. And they really, again, so many of these shops that I go to, like the retailers who work and run them, are pushing so hard to make their shops communities, to really have cool events and cultivating like their own culture for their store, in the sense of like, oh, like we have regulars, we have people who are coming in to discover comics, and just, I don't know, I feel like a lot of retailers get bad raps, but there are people out there hustling so hard to make their stores inviting, to really celebrate the medium and the hobby of everything. And I'm just so thankful to get a chance to go to as many places as I can. So I'm very big on trying to do store appearances. I mean, it's not like I have no celebrity. It's not like I'm a draw, but I just like being in comic shops and like meeting with people who shop month to month, and really just doing what I can to be out there, as it is important to me to really kind of have some interaction, because writing can be so solitary and kind of on one-sided.
Are you doing the San Diego thing in a couple months?
I think so. I should be out in San Diego. I don't know if I'm going to do anything beforehand. Like last year, I did a signing tour, but I'm hoping. I think we scheduled it right that Violent Love 6 should be out in time for San Diego Comic-Con. So I don't know if we'd try to do any kind of like exclusive for the show or anything. But I don't particularly love that show because it's kind of a circus. But I love the fact that so many people I don't get to see regularly go to it. So for me, a lot of times it's much more like, oh man, everyone's here and hanging out.
It's about the only chance I get to see Ed Brubaker these days.
Well, he's not on my friends list in terms of people who would hang out with me. I mean, I would gladly hang out with him, but I would probably just wait in line for a signing for him, to be honest.
I don't think, like, all the times I've seen... Anyway, this isn't the Ed Brubaker hour, but he is a nice guy, though. But so I guess it's safe to say that we can see that the cartel, in addition to the Nails Gang and the authorities, are not done with Daisy and Rock moving into Arc 2?
No, not in the slightest. Really, I mean, we see, for me, that big arc was like Daisy kind of firmly committing to like, okay, like I'm totally outside the bounds of what I thought was an acceptable life, and kind of doubling down and ultimately like choosing Rock over kind of any kind of safety or escape. And now we're really going to see the consequence of that choice in Volume 2. And certainly everyone who has been involved up to this point will be reappearing and kind of having an effect on that story. God, I don't mean to be so stuttery and distant at this point. I'm just trying not to say specific like plot aspects, but really we also will see like kind of Daisy and Rock's famous kind of spree of robberies and where the wanted posters come from as well. And also like see their romance begin to develop and come to fruition, as I was so adamant that, like, again, we have the last pages of issue 5 and we see them kind of having like a moment. It's a horrible moment in many ways, but see them kind of coming together. But when we pick up in 6, it's not, again, we haven't just like flipped the magic romance switch. They're not just like making out on bank tables or anything like that. It's still very much that drama of like, oh, how do these two people actually come to connect, and why is this a tragedy, kind of. I mean, we've kind of blown up our spot of the first issue where we have kind of Lou as an unreliable narrator just telling Penny, we're going full spoilers here if you're listening to this, so maybe if you want to read Violent Love 1, don't listen to the next 10 seconds. Well, I guess I'll just be vague about it. But we see the consequences of Volume 1 and what's been revealed. And now it's really kind of just like paying off on that. And we know that the story isn't necessarily going to end the way it might seem in the first pages of the first issue. So we're really kind of having fun with subverting that and making sure it's not hopefully predictable. And I don't know, I feel like the second half really is much more of like, okay, like volume 1, you're reading a crime romance, like you get a lot of the elements at play, but volume 2, I feel like is really where we kind of say our piece on it and what we think about our particular story and also kind of some of the genre elements in general. And I'm excited for people to see that pay off, because for me, I mean, that's the joy of writing this stuff. It's fun to play with genre, but here is where you'll see like the real thesis of the story and what I'm hoping to kind of glimpse. And again, not that's like world bending or some kind of brilliant, unique moral synthesis I put together, but really I do feel like it is maybe a little more uniquely me than just a generic crime story toward the end. So I am excited to get to that stuff. And as I said, Victor continues to do just like truly unprecedented, awesome work. And in every issue, I find just a new like single page that is just a perfect kind of visual representation of the series or what I think about these characters. And simply just from seeing them so much, he's how he draws them, I have a fondness for it. So it's always a joy to see how he renders the acting and everything like that.
I mean,
but as I said too, I mean, I'm sorry. Now I'm interrupting you. I'm talking too much. You can tell me to shut up. But Victor just immediately took to these characters. I mean, he co-created them, so I'd hope he enjoyed them. But he really has given them so much life and personality on the page that it almost makes writing them even easier at this point. Because again, you look at them and they almost not to be romantic about it, but they feel like someone mm-hmm. kind of who they are from just spending time and seeing what they do. So
yeah, I mean, and you do put them, as every good writer should, especially Daisy, you put them through the ringer. You make us care for them.
Well, that's a big part of the story for me too, is just like really not shying away from like, we're doing a crime story that is pretty violent and it's rough, but it all has a point. Like, we're not just like trying to write some morose, gratuitous tragedy where like, oh my God, we're going to make someone there's going to suffer. And I mean, let's be real, there's an audience for that. But really for this, we didn't want to, again, shy away from the violence of it all, but also make it feel consequential, like make it feel important. But also I was really excited to just have a protagonist, especially a female protagonist, that can feel a little more conflicted, but also not have to just do everything right or just be basically like Rambo with a woman drawn in. Like, I wanted it to feel like, again, I want to write a real character, not someone who's just representing my weird fetishized view of kind of strong female protagonists or anything like that. And part of that is having a three-dimensional character who's going to make mistakes, who's going to be conflicted about things. And I'm glad our audience has really taken to that. Like, I've seen a lot of feedback where people like that. I mean, the characters feel, quote, well-rounded. I mean, that's always the goal. And I think the real struggle with that is to have that complexity, to show that they're not one note. Like, this isn't tough guy. This isn't like sad person. Like, there's going to be a lot going on. And especially as we see the payoff in Arc 2, it's definitely much more of like showing that like, oh yeah, well, sometimes doing the right thing can be wrong. Sometimes doing the wrong thing can be right. And what kind of sense are we going to make out of this? But it really has been a pleasure for me to kind of explore that side of things, because I feel like so much of genre stuff can be a little cartoonishly reductive, and I really didn't want to paint us into that corner. But as I said, I mean, you can never control how people are going to react to stuff, but I'm glad to see people, for the most part, seem to pick up what we're putting down, to use to use a phrase I've heard the kids say.
Of course. It's applicable. It works. It's lit. I hated myself for saying that.
It sounds even less natural lit, coming from Sam.
And I work with college students. Anyway, that aside, Frank, to kind of take us out, what are you currently geeking out over, man?
Let's see. What did I read today? I mean, I am a huge advocate for staying current on reading comics. Like, I find it personally like offensive when a lot of creators are like, I don't read comics. It's like, okay, awesome. Like, thank you for diminishing the art form to which you participated. But and yeah, shots fired. If anyone wants to come at me over that, go for it. But I'm just trying to think of what I read today. We got 2 Scott Snyder books today. Both were fantastic. Him and Jeff Lemire's book, AD, The End of, was awesome. I really like that new issue of All-Star that came out. A lot of my buddies doing books today. I really liked Steve's books today were rad, JLA 6 and Supergirl. And my buddy Matt Rosenberg did Secret Warriors debut today, as well as Kingpin, which continues to be great. But on a more personal note, I'm really psyched to actually see the new Alien movie this week.
Yeah.
I don't know, like I don't have a extraordinary fondness for that franchise, but I actually, and again, once again, come at me world, but I actually really liked Prometheus. Like, yeah, it's flawed, there's a lot of problems, but like that was like a good horror movie if you don't focus on the ambiguity and a lot of the stuff that people got very riled up about. But I'm really excited to see how this kind of builds on that, because I know there is like a kind of continuity obsessed, like weird mythology obsessed culture around these films, and even just some like cursory Googling, I'm kind of excited to see how they address some of that mystery. And also apparently like there's 2 Fassbender robots who interact with each other and are like have this weird like, are they going to make out chemistry apparently the whole time? And that should be amazing to see on the screen, let's be real.
Well, just so you know, I'm in your court as well. I enjoyed Prometheus too. I found I'm a huge fan of the Alien series, but I was able to sit there and be like, okay, I can see where it diverged. I forget who they hired on as a
Damon Lindelof.
Yeah, to do some rewrites or whatever, and he was like, "Well, we're not gonna make it part of the continuity,
or like, yeah, make it very vague."
Yeah. So like, personally, like I was able to watch it and be like, "Okay, I see where he took over," and like that's where I, as a fan, don't like it. But like the movie as a whole, I found to be quite enjoyable.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like it was so polarizing for some people. One of my friends who I will not actually name, but he like, when I was like, did you see that? He was like, it was the worst movie I've ever seen. Whoa. I was like, that is a real hard quantifier, like of saying that there was no, and again, it had its flaws, but like, I don't know, I really enjoyed it. And it was really pretty. I mean, I certainly am not someone who's just impressed by good looking things, but I was actually very like taken aback at how well shot. And I mean, go figure. Because did Ridley Scott actually direct it? I can't.
He did.
Okay, so yeah, he was credited as director. And did he do Covenant too, or did someone else?
Yes.
I think he's like all over Covenant.
He's all over Covenant.
And Lindelof is not.
I think the biggest. I think the biggest.
I noted that he was removed from.
Yes, I think the biggest problem was that if it was just a standalone movie that had nothing to do with Alien, I think people would have really been more receptive. But the whole thing was like. And like Superman Returns kind of did it too, where it's like nobody could flat out say if it was part of the universe or not. They were like, yeah, it's kind of like that was the answer everyone would give. And
I definitely understand that frustration. And as I said, I recognize that because I'm not super into that mythology or like how it worked. I definitely saw they were a little, not even a little, they were extraordinarily cagey about that. And almost I feel like playing off like reception a bit too. Like, well, are we going to lean into this or are we not? Like that I can understand. But some people just like, I feel like I saw someone like analyzing some of this stuff, but like just the idea of like, oh, well, the scientists wouldn't act like that. I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's a movie. They're doing what we need for the plot. Calm down and enjoy the whole of it instead of just like focusing on micro elements. And I mean, anyone can like what they want to like or be pissed about what they want to be pissed. But like things like that to me are just like that ruined the whole movie for you because the one guy who's supposed to be smart acted stupid. Like, go like, shit. Okay, well, if that's the bar, go for it.
Well, also, my favorite part of Prometheus was like Ridley Scott. You know, obviously, almost 30 years ago with Alien, freaks everybody out with a face hugger, and I thought seeing Numi Is it Rapace or Rapace? I can't ever remember.
I believe it's Rapace.
Is it Rapace
I was
from
gonna say
Girl with the Dragon
possibly
Tattoo?
Rapace, but
Seeing her like have to cut herself open to pull an alien out was like the coolest thing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, because my whole thing was how is Ridley Scott gonna up the face hugger aspect of it, and I thought that was awesome. Like I love seeing her just kick ass.
Completely agreed. Like that is like such a cool like inversion of an iconic moment.
Mhm.
And yeah, like it's easy to just be like, well, that's why would she do that? It's like look at the bigger picture sometimes, guys.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to be so humans. Like calm down. Like this is entertainment on a level as well. Like let's all chill.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, that Blade Runner trailer looks awesome.
Mhm.
I'm a staunch hater on like, why would they do another Blade Runner? But then that trailer dropped. I'm like, okay, well, I'll go see that.
Yeah.
The second trailer is a lot better. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah.
There's definitely more going on in that. So
I didn't even realize that was Dave Bautista too. I mean, obviously, if you look at it,
He's
but
in
I saw someone being like, this is how like every comic artist wishes they could draw people when they see him because he's just so weird and interesting looking. I was actually in LA recently and went to didn't know in downtown LA the building that is Deckard's house you can like
cool.
go into and just kind of see, like, I don't know if there's actual offices still in there, but it was just a cool bit of like movie kind of trivia. I didn't take pictures though. I don't take pictures because I'm just like whatever, I suck at it and I'm not going to look at them. But I am curious to see Harrison Ford reprising his role in it, but I don't know. I think everyone involved gets it and hopefully made an interesting movie. But I feel like TV I've finally been catching up on a little. Like I feel like every show I actually kind of watch is on right now. I disturbingly have not started watching the new season of Fargo yet, but like Fargo, both the film and more importantly the TV show, is huge, tremendous influence on Violent Love in many obvious ways. And I feel like the stuff Noah Hawley does for TV, and I mean his novels and stuff too, he is absolutely brilliant, and anything he's involved in, I mean Legion obviously as well, is just so well constructed and put together. Like it's, I don't know, I'm like so hyped for it. I hope I like it as much as I want to, but I've been watching Better Call Saul, which I love, and again, another TV show that is better than it has any right to be. And actually, even though shitting on Lindelof, I really ended up liking The Leftovers. Like I feel like it has turned into
It got
surprisingly
better. Yeah, it got better.
good. The first season was just like depression circus, and I'm like, do I even want to watch this? But 2, I enjoyed, and this season I've been pretty into. So
Yeah, I mean, I've been loving Better Call Saul. I don't know why more people aren't talking about Better Call Saul.
It's gonna be like Breaking Bad, where like by season 4 they'll be like, oh shit, we should be watching this.
The greatest show that nobody's watching.
TV is so weird like that, right? Like I watched the pilot of American Gods, and I don't, as much as I like Neil Gaiman, I don't love that book in the way some people do, and I thought it was interesting, but like I don't know like if it's gonna like move me, especially because they are sticking so close to the book. Like I feel like having read it, it's just like, oh, okay, they're doing this part now. Like, did you guys watch 2, or is there anyone super into that? I have not watched the second episode yet. But
I was unaware that it had started until like just yesterday, and like I saw a whole bunch of people talking about, oh my god, American Gods, it's so great, and I was like, oh, I read that like a month ago in preparation for the show because like I was like, oh, this show's coming out soon, I should read the book, and I found an audio. It was really cool. I found an audiobook that had like all the parts played by different voice actors. So it was like listening to a radio drama.
Yeah. It's like listening to a play, like you just said.
It makes it so much easier to follow. And like, so I'm ready to watch it. I was like, oh shit, it's already happening.
It seems very, very accurate. Like almost like page by page, at least the pilot. I don't know if anyone saw it as well. And I'm fascinated to see how long they keep that up, because there's some parts of that book I feel like might drag, and I'm curious if they adapt that. But again, I'm also just so curious to see like call my dad and be like, you watch the American God show? What did you think? Like, I want like a normal person opinion, because I mean, it's so weird, which I think is awesome, and that TV will go there, and it gives me hope for just like someone who loves genre fiction and loves like writing genre stories. But like, I'm just so curious, like what like Johnny Normal, like flipping through the channels, like what's this all about, is gonna think of that show, because it is very uniquely its own thing. It's my deep thoughts. What do normal people think? Well, no, I just mean people who are not so ensconced in kind of the culture surrounding a lot of these, or the fandom surrounding a lot of these very specific things. And it is interesting to see some very kind of, I don't want to say like subcultural, but like, you know what I mean? Like crossing into broad ass mainstream of like, oh, like your mom is probably going to watch this, or just anyone who's not necessarily into genre fiction. And I don't know, as I said, I love the success of that, but I'm just also so curious, like, to see how some people process some of this very, very kind of more off the beaten path material.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because like a lot of times when I go see like the superhero movies with my friends who don't read comic books, like when the post-credit scenes happen, like if they introduce a character, they'll always look over and be like, okay, who the fuck is that? Why do we care about this? What does that mean?
Everyone to Google.
Yeah. So that's always fun.
Yeah, it is such an interesting thing too. I always say, like, if I had gone back and told myself, like, when I was 12, like, there's going to be a Marvel Cinematic Universe, check yourself, like, I would have been like, that's never going to work. I still remember being at San Diego Comic-Con the year they announced, like, Joss Whedon was directing the Avengers movie, and getting into like a heated argument how that didn't mean it was just going to be good with some people. Like, I remember like storming out of a hotel and like just walking down the street, and then when I saw the movie, being, oh well, that was real good. I was wrong. But crazy to think, right? Like, whoever would have thought that would have worked and spawned a billion-dollar,
multi-billion-dollar.
Well, that and like
true.
That and like kids are playing Guardians of the Galaxy on the playground now. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, people know who Groot and Rocket Raccoon
are. Yeah.
So
and even some of those more like tertiary characters who I feel like I was not super into cosmic Marvel despite reading comics my whole life, and like to see some of those coming into the mainstream now is really fascinating.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So Frank, just to sign out, what can we expect? You know, what do you? Obviously, Volume 1 of Violent Love again in comic book stores everywhere and on Comixology on Wednesday, May 24th. But what is there anything else? And look for issue 6 in July. Is there? I always do that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, very succinct.
Yeah, but is there anything else that you'd like to plug while we got you on?
Well, definitely the Martians issue, Marvin and Martian Manhunter. That'll be in June. I don't know the exact date, but as I said, if you like either of those characters, I feel like it is a really kind of fun, nice one-shot, maybe a change of pace from what you're used to. But other than that, really, like, and I hinted that before, but we're really hoping to keep Violent Love going on as kind of like a universe book, like, and forgive me for punching out my weight class here, but like something like the other big running crime series, like Straight Bullets, like Sin City, like Criminal, where we keep doing it with the same name, possibly like subtitles, like Violent Love : whatever, like, because we really are happy with the cast we have, and we've done like a lot of development on all these characters and really want to give them their own stories. So God willing, we will be doing that book hopefully for a nice long time. And again, any excuse I have to collaborate with Victor is is more than welcome. But other than that, I feel like nothing immediately on the horizon that I can talk about. I have really kind of buckled down the second half of this year to work on some creator-owned stuff. I have like 4 unique projects, well, 3, 4, including 5 Ghost. But I would say if you enjoy my stuff, follow my Twitter, which is unfortunately not my name, but Atlas Incognita, which is ATLASINCOGNITA. Used to be my self-publishing imprint. It is impossible for people to hear whenever I say it, but that is as I stay very active on Twitter and always talk about what I'm doing and make an effort to kind of show like art from what I'm working on, et cetera, et cetera. So hopefully, God, I don't even know when I'll be announcing some of the stuff I'm working on because it might be far out. But I don't know. I mean, I stay busy, so hopefully sooner than later new stuff will be announced. But really, for the moment, it's Violent Love and 5 Ghosts. Like, those are my 2 big things. And as I said, 5 Ghosts, if you look it up, it looks appealing. I would recommend reading the 3 volumes that are out. We would certainly appreciate it. But volume 4 will be starting hopefully just at the tail end of this year.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, keep an eye out for it. Fingers crossed that everything goes well. And if you want to pump it, you got the email, Frank. And
Thank you so much.
Thanks again for coming on. And so again, that first volume of Violent Love, collecting those first 5 issues plus a whole boatload of really cool concept art and variant covers, out in comic book stores everywhere and on Comixology if you're more digitally inclined, on Wednesday, May 24th. Frank, thanks again.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. Much appreciated.
Who is your favorite Martian?
Robin Williams.
Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah, that's great, because in the Disney adaptation.
Yeah.
Although I don't think is Robin Williams isn't from Mars.
No.
He's from Orc.
Yeah.
Orc from Orc.
Yeah.
His name's
Nanu.
not Garshin from Martian.
Yeah.
Lars from Mars.
Oh.
I mean, Marvin the Martian. I had a stuffed Marvin the Martian when I was a kid. I killed him and I put him on my wall.
I was all about Marvin the Martian
He's
for a hot
great.
minute.
Yeah.
In
31
Clueless,
space modulator.
in Clueless, when what's his name, the stoner skater kid, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen that movie.
He was in that lawyer TV show with Zach from Saved by the Bell.
Oh, yeah, Breckin Meyer.
Yes, Breckin Meyer. His character in Clueless is a skater stoner, and he's talking to.
Silverstone?
Nope. The one that was in Sin City that died a little while ago.
Oh, Brittany.
Brittany Murphy. Yeah. He's talking to Brittany Murphy about how he wants to put a Marvin the Martian character on his skateboard, and then Cher comes over and tells her to go.
So that's your favorite Martian? Oh boy,
Breckin Meyer.
Breckin Meyer is my favorite Martian. Sorry, I realized halfway through that I forgot everyone's name, and it was kind of ruining the story. But those people that have seen Clueless know what I'm talking about. Those are rookie numbers.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I mean, again, that's such a fun book, and it's cool having Frank back on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, check it out.
It's good egg.
He's a good egg. He's not one of those anonymous Twitter eggs that
No.
we don't need in our lives.
And we don't have anymore because the Twitter discontinued the egg.
They did.
Yeah, now it's a silhouette, like a bust silhouette.
Like a message board.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. So you
You
guys
should just use stock photos from the thing and just stick that.
Yeah.
No, you know when you buy a frame,
Oh yeah.
they should just stick one of those faces on there.
I think it should be that stock photo that gets used on memes a lot of the old man that just doesn't understand computers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
After 30 days, it's just stuck. It's locked. You can never change it.
You had your chance.
Yeah.
Goth.
You screwed it up.
Yeah. Krypton had its chance.
Yeah.
But
Krypton had its chance.
A child, a boy child.
Yeah.
yeah. Did you guys get into anything? In the past?
I bought Injustice 2, and I've only played a couple hours of it. My Superman
Only
is,
a couple hours.
Yeah, Superman. No, probably 2 hours. My Superman's level 5.
Oh.
But the cool thing about this one is,
you can level up.
I didn't real. Well, you can level up the other one. Oh no, you couldn't. You can level up your profile, but you can level up the character. The thing about this one is, you customize your characters. You have layouts. If you're
So you don't have to give Superman the dumb head sock that he has
No.
on the cover.
no, I mean it gives you a lot more strength.
Can you be mullet Superman?
I don't know yet.
Oh,
I don't think they do hairstyles.
never
But for
mind,
example,
not
they have
buying.
different emblems, different capes, more armored. So say you have a Kryptonian, a Batman with kryptonite armor, you would have him fight Superman. You wouldn't necessarily have him fight Swamp Thing. You know what I mean?
How is old Swamp Thing?
I haven't played as him yet. I'm holding out on that one because that one's going to be
what information
insane.
do you have for us, Jake?
Well,
because all of our questions you've been dodging.
Superman, his special in this one, I like a lot more his special move. Because in First Injustice, he basically just punches you into space and then punches you down. Yeah. This one, he punches you through the sky and you're going through the clouds, and then they do that thing in Man of Steel where he punches you and then you fly back and he punches you again, and then he goes around you and just waits with his arms crossed and catches you with his hand and slams you all the way back into the ground. It's awesome. So I've only been really working on Superman right now. I've leveling up Batman a little bit and Supergirl, And then they have a cool thing. If you remember in the first Injustice, they have like the different tournaments you can do, quote unquote, where it's like, with one life, beat all the characters.
Oh, the challenges, yeah.
This one, they have the multiverse.
Oh.
And you go in different multiverses. And
So-
I played as Darkseid. Dude, Darkseid is like the coolest dude because it's so little effort in everything he does. Like, when like they you like hold the A button and like reach back and you punch him like through different scene transitions, he just backslaps you. His Omega beams are awesome. His special
Omega beams never miss.
In this one they do.
Miss Batman,
Yeah.
kind of.
Well,
Send him
they-
through
no,
time.
they
instead of
eventually get
killing
him.
Yeah.
But,
Well, no, his plan was he sent Batman through time, and as he moved closer to the present, he built up enough.
You could have
As I'm saying this
you
out
could just
loud,
say it's dumb
God,
and save yourself a lot of
Remember
time.
that time at IHOP that you tried to explain
At
the
Final
whole
Crisis?
thing with me?
yeah.
and Captain America,
Oh, yeah, Captain America
the
Reborn.
magic bullet.
Yeah, that makes him unstuck in time. Yeah.
Terrible. But no, Injustice 2 is cool so far. It's really cool. The graphics are great. Dude, I got super emotional in the opening scene of this story because it shows Supergirl on Krypton, like where she's leaving, as Brainiac's coming and destroying the fuck out of everything, sucking people's brains out. And
Just like the Jeff Johns story.
yeah, and she gets put in the pod and she's seeing her mother get her brain sucked out as she's like screaming. And they're like, we sent your baby. We sent Cal, like your cousin Cal. And she's like, but Cal's only like a baby. And like the thing shuts and she gets rocketed off. And as she's like, you can't hear anything. You just hear, you can't hear her. You just hear like the hum of the spaceship. And you see her screaming in the cockpit, like sobbing. And then you hear this little like next to her. And it's baby Kal-El asleep in the blanket. And she kind of like stops for a second. Like she has a moment of peace seeing this little baby next to her, and then the radioactive pieces of kryptonite fly and like send them on different paths, and she goes one way and he goes another, and she's screaming, and then it cuts off, and it's like Injustice 2, and I was like, dude, the fuck. But I haven't got too far in the story yet, obviously, because I've been working on just the character stuff. But dude, Batman is like mega dick in this game, like mega asshole. At one point, they have like the character clashes, and they like talk to each other, like, not fast enough, Barry. I'm fast enough for you. And then like they hit each other, whatever. The Flash looks awesome too. I haven't played him yet. But at one point, when Wonder Woman and Batman clash, Wonder Woman goes, Damian hates you. And Batman goes, you can have him. And I was like, what? The fuck? It's getting interesting though. I didn't read any of the comic books. I feel like maybe I should go back and read them because people
We
really
need
seem to
get
dig
Brian
them.
Buccellato back on.
Dude,
Yeah.
I've constantly heralded whatever.
Since the early days of the show.
Yeah, heralded the first issue as being metal as fuck because it has that panel of Superman punching through the Joker's stomach.
I hope they really like not fix Superman, but get him back to kind of being Superman, because like he's just angry, violent Superman in like most of the game, most of the story, which makes sense. I mean, what happened to him,
Superman.
but like we had our dictator Superman. Let's get Superman back, and I'm thinking Supergirl's going to play a huge part in that because she's clearly like she's on the poster, like it's Batman, Superman, and she's there. I think I have an idea what happens, but it's really fun so far, and they've upped the ante big time. They made you get mother boxes, how you get different equipment and stuff. It's really fun. Like it's so much more than just a fighting game. There's so much, and I'm a sucker for customizing. Like, and I didn't realize it was that much when I first saw it because I didn't watch too much video about it. I just saw a couple of things of Superman, a couple things of Batman, Swamp Thing. I watched Swamp Thing's like intro thing, but
He's not known for being discreet.
yeah. But the threw me off. I thought that it was like the armor thing was like as you get beat up, you can just level up and your character grows, like not genetic, but like one set of armor, like head sock Superman.
Yeah, it's not the 90s.
But then you have like different color skin, like not different color skins, like different like outfits yet. I mean, you do have those. I got Jay Garrick, but because I just bought the season pass too, and it came with fucking Reverse Flash. And he looks sick.
Ayo, bird.
Sick. But yeah, but they have like different colors of the outfit. So like it has like it may not look exactly like the outfit, but it's like this is the color scheme of this.
Wait, which
thing,
version
this
of the Reverse Flash? There are many, maybe not many, but there are several.
I don't remember which one it was.
Okay.
I just remember seeing the Reverse Flash skin. But it's awesome. The Flash, dude. Flash looks like fucking yoked. Like he's fucking big. Like he's not like absurdly huge, but he's like thicker than normal.
Superman.
It looks fucking kind of. He just, and like the character pose, he's just like smirking because he's like, I'm fucking better than you. Like he said it to me.
Yeah.
He's like, you fucking asshole.
You're a piece of shit.
Go
Jake.
charge your phone, you dick.
Fastest man alive. Piece of shit.
But they got a lot of people. I mean, I guess
Fuck you,
the two big ones.
I hear Nightwing isn't around this time.
No, there's no Shazam, which bums me out. Green Arrow's there,
I
which
saw
is cool.
Shazam in the trailer.
He might be in the trailer, but he's not. They have a lot of cool things like they did in the first game, where like when you do the scene transitions, characters show up and like fuck with you. Like Scarecrow's actually in it, but
Oh, cool. Bane?
oh yeah, Blue Beetle.
Which Jaime Reyes, I'm guessing?
I don't remember.
The
just
one with the
remember seeing-
wings, like the weird back thing.
Yes, yeah, not Ted Cord. Not Ted Cord, because like Ted Cord definitely doesn't look like Iron Man Blue Beetle.
Yeah. Or Dan Garrett.
Mm-hmm. But I'm assuming, again, I didn't really look too much into the Blue Beetle. I just saw him and I was like, that's Blue Beetle. Black Canary. I heard she's really fun.
Deathstroke.
Yeah, I like Deadshot just fine, but he's basically just Deathstroke. He's got some cool, like, look at how fucking changing my magazine as I hit you in the face with a knife. Wonder Woman's badass. Her, like, entrance into the game is cool. She's like, Bruce, you fucking asshole. And he's like, at least I got an asshole, you stupid girl.
Yep.
Throw it back to South Park. That I can't take credit for that. That's just one of my favorite Butters moments of all time, because Butters doesn't understand the anatomy of a woman. They're also like fourth graders. But yeah, it's fun, man. I'm very excited to get back and play it. It's interesting. Like I said, I am very, very happy with the customizing aspect of it, because there's so like different, like just the S's are different. Like it's awesome. And they got cool, like funny little names for stuff too, like Lois's favorite, emblem and blah blah blah. And it's the New 52 one, I think, but whatever. But if because I have one Superman where like you have different loadouts. I have the classic Superman, I have Godfall, and then I have one Superman just called God, and he has like the all white with the white eyes, and then he is the most armored Superman. Like he does have the neck sock because it gives him the most. Like he's the one that
like God.
I'm going against Darkseid. Oh, that's funny. Here's God Superman. And he shows up and he just goes. At one point,
I wonder if they took cues from like Dragon Ball Super Saiyan God.
Well, he says, oh fuck, I'm not gonna be able to remember. But
Super Saiyan God Saiyan 2.
Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan.
He has a couple great lines that he drops. One of them is Harley. It's kind of a weird thing. He's fighting Harley, and Harley's like, "You're never gonna stop trying to kill me, are you?" And he's like, "Till kingdom come," and like punches her in the face. And I was like, he should have been like, "Till Mark Wade," But no, the voice acting's spot on.
Right.
Yeah. Man of Steel miniseries by John Byrne, relaunch 1986, number 1 through 6.
Whatever happened to truth, justice, and the American way?
Yeah. Grounded. Panic in the Sky.
Love that book. And then they gave it a new edition. I was like, fuck, I'm obsolete again.
I do need to get the new edition because I don't have the old edition.
It's pretty good. One of my favorite Superman stories. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Superman. It's the one thing that is tough about them, like leveling up, is like you'll get like armor and upgrades that you can only use if they're up to a certain level, and so you're gonna have to like there's some characters I'm not gonna touch for a while. Like Superman's one I'm just gonna like just go Superman and Batman basically, and then
you're not gonna be Gorilla Grodd.
I've just picked on Gorilla Grodd so much, like him and Black Adam. Black Adam is still a pain in the ass in this game. So is the Joker.
Is Cyborg back?
Yeah. Yes.
Cool. I can bring my
Yes.
Cyborg game back.
Yes,
right?
he is. Oh, dude, yeah. You're fucking vicious with Cyborg. Cheetah?
Okay. She wasn't in the last one.
No.
Catwoman?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Damian. I'm sure they're gonna have a skin that's like
They're
a
gonna
Nightwing.
have so much DLC.
Because I can't wait. It's and like the way it's gonna be so awesome because like in Injustice 1, which is still a great game, all that would change was their outfit. Really, they had like a Jon Stewart and stuff, but this one like their physique changes. Like when I bought the season pass, I got immediately Jon Stewart, Reverse Flash, and Power Girl. So again, like Power Girl doesn't look like the same model as Supergirl, you know. And so I'm excited because there's so many like locked, unseen things yet. Sub-Zero is going to be the guy, like the first non-DC guy, I think, to come into the game.
Yeah, they had a lot of good feedback when they included Scorpion in the last one.
Yes, he was one of him and Batgirl. I think only two I got from the.
You didn't get Martian Manhunter?
I don't think so. I think by that point I was kind of exhausted.
It's not Jake's favorite Martian. So
Yeah.
No.
what's the point?
Nobody's favorite Martian, apparently.
Marvin the Martian is owned by Warner Brothers. DC is owned by Warner Brothers. Get Marvin the Martian in Injustice 2.
I remember one of the first things they said when they announced Injustice 2 was they were trying to do Judge Dredd. They wanted to try to get Judge Dredd. That'd be a tough. I don't know how tough that'd be, but
I mean, he's already had a comic with Batman.
yeah, he's also like been helped printed through like either Vertigo or DC, like back in the day. I think the Stallone era.
And now IDW has the American distribution.
IDW's doing a great job. They're really, I mean, they're trucking.
They're
man.
smart with their licensing or their buying.
At the time that we're
Shits.
recording this, the Back to the Future comics are currently on sale.
Oh, cool.
And by the time you're listening to this, it probably isn't.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like I said, it's still very early stages of it, but it's super fun. Hopefully, we can all jam out on it sometime.
Yeah, I need to get a new console one of these days.
Yeah. The only thing I'm pissed about with Xbox One is they don't have a great baseball game. Like the show is all on exclusively through PlayStation.
Mike Piazza's Strike Zone.
Oh, I owned that shit back in the day, son. I also had Sammy Sosa,
Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball.
Ken Griffey, Home Run King,
Cal
MLB.
Ripken Jr. Baseball for the Super Nintendo.
No, I never had a Super Nintendo.
Me,
I have MLB 92 with Lenny Dykstra. He wasn't the poster boy, but I remember just like that's how old the fucking game is. You could play as Lenny Dykstra. And Mickey Morandini, to name
A few.
two Phillies. Anyway, but yeah, I hope they come with they came up with a baseball game, but I don't think it was like a big time release.
I've been teasing the idea of getting a Switch recently because I like.
La la la.
Thank you. Someone else thinks of Will Smith's Switch every time someone starts talking about the console. I really hope that that's the theme song to Zach's party when he has the Switch party.
Zach, we know you listen to this show.
Yeah, make it happen. Even though I won't be there because you decided to make it Awesome Con weekend, which means I'm going to be in New York.
In
State, not New York City.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, no. Upper echelon. Echelon?
Yes. Whatever you say.
Well, that's neat.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm looking forward to it.
I accidentally finished Twin Peaks this week, which is fine because at the time we're recording this, we still have, I think, like 3 days before the new season starts on Showtime.
I could have sworn multiple times that like it had started and had been released because like so many people were talking about Twin Peaks.
Right.
And I'm like, is it on? I mean, I don't...
Yeah, they've been talking about it a lot, which reminds me I should probably set my DVR to record it now that we're within like a week. Yeah, I'll be fine.
You remember?
Yeah, but it was kind of an interesting thing because I thought I still had like 2 episodes left, and I was sitting there, popped my Laserdisc in, and the episode starts, and I'm like, wow, this feels a lot like the season finale. What possibly happens in the rest in the next episode? And then if I guess if you don't want spoilers for a 25-year-old TV show, skip ahead a little bit and don't watch the new season when it airs. But yeah, then the whole thing with Agent Cooper coming out of the White Lodge and slamming his head into the bathroom mirror happens, and I'm like, that's the last fucking shot of the show. What's going on? And then the episode ended, and my Laserdisc, which has the automatic side flipper, flips the side, starts playing, and it just has a blank screen that says, nothing on this side of the disc. And I was like, fuck. Because my whole thing was like, oh, cool, I have an hour to kill. Let me watch one episode, and then like in a day or so, I'll finish out the series. Ruined my flow by finishing it early. But at least that guarantees that I am caught up in time for the show to start. By the time you're listening to this, first episode will have already aired. Did you like it? Tweet me at EG Nolan or just at Geek
shout.
Out Podcast. Yeah,
shout out
just
your
shout.
window
I'll
like
hear
Rocky.
you.
Hey yo, Paulius, this is with me. I'll call you back later. See ya.
I'm mad as hell, and I'm watching Twin Peaks anymore. What?
Yeah, network. Peter Finch.
Sam, what did you get into on this glorious day, or past days?
I was about to say on this day.
On this day,
I
I see clearly.
Across that new divide. No,
It was Edge's entrance theme.
Oh, I was doing New Divide off
Oh.
the Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen soundtrack.
Oh,
Everyone's favorite.
Yeah. Sing it along if you know the words.
That isn't fail me. You get this and say that to me. There's some big robots.
is this Gary Newman doing
Paul Newman.
Paul Newman. God
Randy
damn,
Newman?
Randy Newman.
Randy,
Yeah.
all of them.
All of the Newmans.
The Newman supergroup.
I got thumb salad dressing. Oops,
In
that's
my defense-
the other guy.
Gary Newman was a musician in Cars. Fear Factory did a cover of that, and it was pretty exciting with Gary Newman, like Fear Factory featuring
Gary Newman. Nice.
Nice.
What did I do? I went to a concert. I went to DC 101, our local rock radio station down here. They do an all-day festival up in Maryland, over at Merriweather Post Pavilion, called Kerfuffle.
God bless you.
And and I went there and saw Catfish and the Bottlemen, Jimmy Eat World, Fits and the Tantrums.
That's why we've been listening to so much Jimmy Eat World.
Yeah. Weezer.
Yeah, the Wheeze. For the neighborhood Wheeze.
And though they turned up their bass too loud, it drowned out their guitars and their vocals a bit. Yeah. I mean, from what I heard, everyone still did Rivers still did a good job. Maybe it was just where I was standing in the lawn, but that shouldn't matter. And I saw Kings of Leon. Kings of Leon actually probably did, from a technical standpoint, probably did the best.
Kings of Leon, or at least their lead singer, currently enemy number one of the pro wrestling Twitter.
What did he do?
I don't know, probably 2 weeks ago from this point, or at least 2 weeks from when people are listening to this episode, tweeted out just like a offhand remark, being like, "Hey guys, we're adults. Stop watching pro wrestling," or whatever. And that wasn't what made him enemy number one, but
it didn't help.
Yeah, a lot of people started being like, "Hey man, go fuck yourself," I like wrestling, it's not hurting anyone. What's the matter, But then
It's hurting Shane McMahon
well, he does that to
and
himself.
Mick Foley.
No, he's getting hip replacement surgery.
Because he was severely hurt during this course of his
Because he
career.
died three times
Tooth
in one
was in
match.
his nostril.
Yeah, I guess it does hurt plenty of people. But then independent wrestler Vita Scott, who is one of my favorite female wrestlers, and I'm going to be seeing her this weekend at Nova Pro Wrestling. Last weekend, for those of you listening, or several weekends ago, depending on how long you've waited to listen to this episode. But she responded with being like, "Hey, don't be a dick," or whatever. And for whatever reason, he, Kings of Leon,
King
I'm gonna
Leon.
call him. Yeah, King Leon decided to single her out.
All the Kings of Leon are brothers too.
Really?
Ah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, the Dutch of Leon didn't. The Duchess, the Duke. That's the male version. Didn't help, but yeah, King Leon made some. I'm paraphrasing, but basically said, "Why don't you close your legs?" And that just everyone was like, "Fuck you." So I haven't heard anything about it since, but so I guess it's all blown over by now. But yeah. A lot of people within the wrestling community do not like Kings of Leon, and specifically the lead singer, Will something or other, right?
Yeah, Will Follow Will or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, because they're all Follow Wills. Well, musically they were great. They did a good job.
Yeah, I'm sure if you like their music, it was a great show.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was. I mean, I love going to rock shows. I really do.
Did you fall in love with a girl there?
Not this one. I found the one place in Merriweather that served $5 beer though. So
Ooh,
Can't
I
remember.
might need to ask you about that place because apparently I'm going to be going to see the Gorillas there in July.
Feel good.
Feel
good.
Wonder if they'll play.
Yeah, Sanford and Son.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did the Sanford and Son theme. They should do the Sanford and Son theme mixed with "I'm happy, feeling bad, I got sunshine,
Clint
in
Eastwood,
a
yeah.
bag
Yeah.
I'm useless, not for long, my future is coming on, it's coming." And that guy goes, "Yeah,
Yeah.
finally, someone let me out of my cage."
Time for me is nothing because I'm counting no age.
No, I couldn't be that. No,
I shouldn't be that.
And
And then he's something.
You know, if our friend Jinx was here, she could sing the whole thing because she famously does that at karaoke, sped up, nonetheless. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh. I think she listens to the show.
Does she? I don't know.
She has listened to a couple episodes.
I think I can never tell anymore.
I don't listen to the show. Don't
yeah.
like the hosts.
Yeah.
None of them.
Yeah. Not a one.
Especially that Ken guy.
Damn him. Why
Friend
don't you
of
watch
the show, Ken, co-host of Laserdix?
Why don't you watch Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia? I don't know. Maybe because Alex DeCampi said it was okay.
Oh. Speaking of Ken, though, I do have an update. His Saturday Mornings Forever is going to be a monthly show. Oh! I remember last time I gave it a plug, I was unsure of the frequency. So
What's the frequency, Kenneth?
that's literally I literally had to ask him what the frequency was going to be. So I'll be popping that up the first Saturday of every month.
Well, there you have it. That was what? Was that concert?
I agree. Yeah. Anything else for the concert? I feel like I cut you off with my shenanigans.
Was that it? Was that the only?
You saw a couple bands.
Yeah, that was like
You
5.
kerfuffed.
I did. Yes.
Did you smell Elliot in the Morning's face?
No.
Does he still yell that?
I suppose. I don't listen to DC 101.
I actually, oddly enough, now that I have a morning job, I've been listening to Elliot in the morning. Granted, I only get to listen to about 5-10 minutes of it because I live so close to work.
Yeah. That's oh god, what a luxury. I miss living close to work.
You know what was nice when I worked at the Blockbuster.
Oh yeah.
Whew.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Jake knows.
I've been trying to. I don't think any of my coworkers listen to this, so I should be fine. I've been trying to get a position on the Arlington campus because I can walk to the Arlington campus in like 20 minutes.
Nice.
So that would be as opposed to like driving for 40 minutes each way on 66 West.
That was kind of my commute when I was working at the draft house.
Yeah.
It was about
Sounds
30
about right.
minutes on average, 45 if there was any kind of traffic.
Yeah. So, yeah, those are the did you know all those times I say Halicon on the show? Like those Halicon days of old?
No, I don't think I ever remember hearing you say that on the show.
Oh,
Can't say that I've logged it.
okay. Well, that's fair because I was apparently mispronouncing it. Somebody called me out on it.
Mm.
They were like,
Halicon?
yeah, it's Halycon.
What is that? What is that? Halicon.
Like thinking of
Yeah, this is a word that I've never even heard.
Yeah,
technically-
explain this now that you know.
Is it halcyon?
it is. It's halcyon.
Oh, okay. I have heard the word
Halcyon?
halcyon, but
what does it mean?
I can't think of the.
Like when I say halcyon days of old, like those crystal clear, idealized days of old.
Yeah, for whatever reason in my head, I was like, isn't it a color? So I guess clear
Yeah,
is sort of it falls in the same category of colors.
does.
Yeah.
So to Brad, yes, it's halcyon. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
So all those days weren't crystal clear.
Certainly not.
They were
my
kind of
vote.
cloudy.
Certainly not my pronunciation.
were
With a
just-
chance of meatballs.
Bullshit.
I mean, clearly our
How
memories.
do we get as many listeners as we do?
I don't know. It must be the interviews. I assume people just stop listening after
I
the
hope
interview
people
ends.
stop.
Well, I
listening.
hope. Yeah, I hope once they're like, "Thanks
I
for
mean,
having us
clearly-
on." All right,
clearly-
see ya, and they just cut it.
Clearly, Zach does not stop listening because he tries to get into fights with us on Twitter.
Yeah.
Fight
Maybe-
me, Zach.
Hey, Zach, you misspelled Ultron in that one tweet. Let's see if he'll notice it next week.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey, Zach, Sega's better.
oh, I can't even go there.
Yeah, I can. because I love Sonic. That's why the one amiibo that I bought was Sonic, just to stick it to the man that much. Even though I guess Nintendo owns Sonic now.
Or at least
they have a great licensing deal.
Yeah, with Sega.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So take that, Zach, because you are Nintendo.
Incarnate.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, out of all the people I know, even more than you, Sam, he is Nintendo incarnate.
I mean, I own...
Look at all this airtime you're getting on the show, Zach.
Yeah, God.
You know...
He has a birthday coming up.
That's true. Anyone that wants this much airtime, just tweet at us regularly like Zach does, because, that's
the secret.
That's the secret. If you tweeted us, we talk about it. Because,
we talk about you.
Because we're like, oh, someone tweeted us.
Yeah. Though people have been tweeting at us.
That's true. That's true.
Like randomly, like randos we don't know outside of the show. I'm always like, oh, and wait till you get a load of this.
Yeah. It's funny. I'll get the notifications that someone has tweeted at us, but I'll be working, and then I'll get a notification that they replied to something, to whatever. I assume it's you, Sam, that pops in and replies to them via our Twitter. So I'll get the response and I'll be like, "The fuck is going on?" Because it won't show me what your part of the conversation is unless I go into the app. What a riveting section of the podcast this has been. Fan interactions.
Time to put a bullet in it.
Yeah, you're right. Mátalo, to call back to our Spanish-speaking opening.
Ultra bass.
Yes. Super mega guay.
Oh.
So this has been another installment catching up. Thanks again to Frank Barbiere for coming on the show.
Yes.
Violent Love, Volume 1. It should be
Violent One.
It should be Violent One.
Yeah.
It's out in comic book stores.
Maybe
and
we can
Comixology.
influence him on making Violent 2.
I'll talk to him.
I mean, he's
about
been
it.
on the show at least twice.
I'm on his mailing list. So yeah. Thanks again, Frank. Check out Volume 1. That's out today, and keep an eye out next month for Martian Manhunter, Marvin the Martian through DC Comics.
Yeah.
That should be a fun ride, and of course the return of 5 Ghosts, hopefully by the end of the year. Anyway, this has been another installment of Catching Up. I'm Sam.
I'm Chris.
I'm Jake. Thank you very much.
Good night, Eric Bana.
Pollo frito.
Pollo! Pollo!
This has been another Geek Out production. If you enjoyed what you heard, hey, we've got a special episode every Friday. Of course, there's the usual catching up show every Wednesday. And you get book club episodes just about every Tuesday these days. Thanks for listening.